Well, thank you guys for being here. Honestly, it's literally our first live stream, and I hope it goes well. And there are people joining from Discord, there are people joining from Instagram Live. We're going to share a ton of thoughts here. These are the information we collected over our network, and it's not really public anywhere. And if you really want this information to get it, you will actually have to pay for a lawyer. Cost you $1,000 or even more to even get it. So if you have a friend or something currently going through Section 3 or account suspension, whoever already been through one, is a good chance to invite them. Let's get started. In this guide, we actually just give you some reference, things that we know. We don't really recommend anybody following our guide exactly. In case you're getting things not expected, if you follow our guide, it might result in different expectations, and we don't call ourselves anything. We're not legal experts or lawyers. This is just purely based on experience and the information that we could get. All right, so Section 3, this is a rising topic in recently. Yes, it is recorded. Recently, there's just a ton of sellers getting suspended. Either is they actually did something wrong, or there was really nothing wrong. This is all algorithm based. It's actually not targeted to any specific person. It's not like any Amazon executive just look at your account and be like, I want to suspend this. All based on algorithm. Everything is chosen from a pool of people based on their activities on Amazon, how much they have sold, and whatever account health issue they might have in the past. Because Section 3 is actually literally the third section of the Amazon Business Solutions Agreement. This is every seller that signed up agreed to before they start selling on Amazon. Most people probably, like me, would just ignore it because everybody just checked the term and service box and don't read it at all. It's actually important. The notifications that you get in your account suspensions, you will get something that looks like this, that your account has been or our control identified that it may be used deceptive or fraudulent or illegal activities. And the important part here is they suspect you doing this, and they can just suspend you by suspecting, unless you prove yourself you're not guilty. Otherwise, your account might be cooked, but that's why I'm here to help. Yeah, so whenever you get a Section 3 account review or suspension, you will expect to provide the proper information, provide the documents that Amazon asks for within 7 days of receiving the notification. The important part here is the faster you're able to get on top of it, to deal with it, and the faster Amazon can be responding to your issue. Somebody said there's no audio. This part is really pretty much important because it pretty much tells you why you're receiving it, and this is terms and termination. If Amazon identifies you in one of these activities in the yellow highlights, you may be suspended or under review. So. And Section 3 is not just one type of suspension. There can be many different things. There's many different factors that could cause it. So, well, in this one, we're only really going to focus on about 3 main points here. We're only going to cover 3 main type of suspension here, which is the first one is the Amazon identifies your account. It's in a deceptive, fraudulent, illegal activity. You may or may not doing this. Sometimes you may get it, you just start selling, didn't really get anything. Again, that's because Amazon algorithm picks a group of people. It's not really based on any other things. So in this particular category, the identified activities could be inauthentic inventory, unsuitable inventory, stolen goods, or you're doing drop shipping. These are not allowed to be on Amazon. The second one here is it just started going around recently. It's about the linked account, related account suspensions. This one is really interesting because you could be related by IP addresses, could be related by credit cards, could be related by shipping addresses. If you are doing group buys with another person or a group of people, and you guys all have the same address on it. Maybe your billing address is your name, but the shipping address is someone else's name. That is not okay. Even though the invoice works for proving the authentic inventory, but it doesn't work in this case. Amazon can still link your account, and according to their policies, you are not allowed to own multiple accounts and operate multiple accounts without the approval. The rule states it's like if you want a second selling account, the second selling account has to be a private label under a different business name, a different address, under different management, and a different email address, and everything has to be different. If you're using one account doing like OA, another account also doing OA, and they sell similar stuff, and they can even link to you by just selling the similar inventory, and that's not allowed. And they will suspend both accounts. Once it's identified one account is linked, the other one is also suspended. You just can't have them, and they won't let you have it either.
Yeah, and I do have another account. It was for books originally, but the main thing is really just selling completely different inventory in completely different categories as well. I mean, theoretically, you really could do wholesale or OA on two different accounts, but it would have to be it has to be a new LLC for sure, new email. It can't be the same address. That is actually allowed as long as it is completely different. I mean, as soon as you even get in the same category or the same product, you're risking it more and more. And if you're on the exact same product, you're for sure going to be shut down.
Yeah, this one is very risky and tricky, and the only way that I know of that you could get it back reinstated is if you have used a third-party service such as a prep center. If you're linked to another seller through a prep center, then that's okay, and Amazon consider that's not your fault because you don't know. Unless you provide what they asked for, you will be reinstated. But other than this, there's really no way to clear this out. The more you explain it, the more linked you are, and it's just a infinite loop.
Mm-hmm. And something on that as well is on Section 3s, I know that they'll see your connected things. They'll see, okay, who's this person on your account? Who's this person that logged in? All the emails that have been on your account. And say you have some like Prep Center LA or something like that on the account. They'll go and look up that name on Google. And if they can't find a website or they're looking at the address and doesn't look like a big business commercial spot. And if it's like a storage unit or something like that, I've heard reps literally say to people like, "Oh, that's a storage unit. That doesn't inspire confidence." Like really crazy. I mean, not that obviously, storage units are great and stuff like that, and I would definitely use them. But just like that, like mentality, hearing that from Amazon is pretty insightful.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, can I also add in this part?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, all very valuable information. I will just also add that besides, you need to make sure that the prep center has a strong web presence, but Amazon may also require you to provide the contract with the prep center as well as the payments to that prep center. So it's not an issue to have an address. You're not supposed to register your Amazon account under the prep center address, but you should be fine to have the prep center as a ship from address, but make sure that you have a communication with your prep centers, that you have contract in place, and that you already submitted payments to that prep center, because sometimes Amazon may go as deep as showing your bank statements online and making sure that you actually submitted the payment to that specific prep centers, because it's not always enough to say that it's prep center for them to give you a satisfactory resolution on the case. Another thing about related accounts, also make sure that you're not even using the same Wi-Fi, because in the eyes of Amazon, they have two types of connections between accounts, the soft one and the hard one. The hard one would be like the credit card or like social security or EIN, that's really hard, and it's really hard to dispute one of those. But there is also some soft connections between accounts. Like let's say if you went to Starbucks to work on Amazon account and you connected to their local Wi-Fi, and then the person who got suspended about a month ago connected to that Wi-Fi. Now you got an inquiry through. Now you got connected through the Wi-Fi, and you never know how many of those soft ones you need to get before your account gets suspended. So the practice that I'm using for my account is I never connect to any public Wi-Fi's. Moreover, I never get connected to my home or office Wi-Fi. I have a specific one internet connection for specific Amazon account, and that allows me to avoid that risk altogether. And you need to make sure that if you guys got one of your accounts in trouble and you want to have another one, you have to have a completely new PC, completely new computer, completely new Wi-Fi. Even like if you use to do banking with Chase, it's better to do now with Bank of America, and so on. The more precautions you take, the better it is. I don't have an Amazon seller app on my phone. A lot of people go to Amazon conferences, they live in the same hotels, they connect to the same Wi-Fi, and they flex orange bars. I think it's just very, very risky to use same Wi-Fi as other dozens and dozens Amazon sellers, especially when those Wi-Fis are used by newer sellers who make more mistakes than the old ones. Um, and another thing that I also utilize, I don't even use my main email to log in. What I would do, I would create a user permission with a full access, and I would use this user permission in order to operate my account. So that's kind of the precautions that we take on our part in order to avoid related accounts. And I learned it the hard way, guys who are having the logic that I'm doing everything 100% according to the book, so we'll never get in trouble. Please do not follow my mistakes, because my first account got suspended, and the reason was that I got the same EIN number for my LLC than some other account. And in the state of Florida, all EIN numbers can be shown on the public website. So somebody literally punched my EIN number, got my account suspended, and I literally did nothing wrong besides using Starbucks Wi-Fi, checking my sales at the gym and stuff like that. So talking about Section 3, it's not only taking precautions if you're doing something not according to terms of service, but in order to keep yourself out of the trouble.
Did you partner for your new accounts, or were you able to work it around?
No, that specific account I lost, and now I have multiple accounts, and I'm operating all of them successfully because I learned it the hard way. And that Section 3 account, I probably hired like 4 different companies who were supposed to help me to get it reinstated, but I still never got it. And genuinely, there is no fault of mine. I was found related to some random account out of Oregon. I have no idea who this person is. And, I've lost about 25K on that account. And, it's been probably about 4 years as of right now.
Yeah, that's great information. Of course, the Amazon could link your account pretty much with anything. Nowadays, it's like if you have a primary account, say you have your own seller account, and there's another seller that maybe your friend have their account logged in their computer. You are not allowed to log in on their computer using your primary account login information. Amazon could link you guys for having a secondary account when you actually don't. You just know each other, but in Amazon's eyes, just knowing each other is not enough to prove your separation. You actually have to prove to Amazon, and it's really, really hard to prove to them. It's like, how do you prove 1 + 1 = 2? It's not gonna be, you're not gonna get your account back like that. But like Nick said, if you use a user permission to log in on your friend's computer to manage your account, and that's perfectly fine. But it's still risky if you guys are logged into the same Wi-Fi. Amazon could still link you by IP address. Yeah, just be careful. Don't do these things.
Yeah, and if you guys have virtual assistants, it's all assistants helping you to run the account. It's also highly encouraged to have an agreement between your LLC and your VA in Philippines, or whatever country you guys hiring from, because a lot of times they will ask you about the user permission, but they will want to have some supportive documentation. And sometimes they can go even further and they want to see this agreement between your LLC and VA, and they want to see it being sent through the email. So make sure that you also have all the supportive documentation, because the more you have of it, the higher chance that you will get from Section 3 successfully.
Yeah, sure. One more adding into that one. Now, what I do with my VAs is every time I add them to any user permissions, I would ask them to create a new Gmail account that has never been used for any Amazon seller account whatsoever. And they would do that. That's one of the ways to probably can avoid linked account from happening. And you also, when you're hiring VAs, make sure you have all documents together. Amazon is all about documents, proofs that you have to show them. If you're unorganized, get to organized right away to save you a few $1,000s down the road.
Or all your money.
Yeah, so like for VAs, I would say you gotta have their offer letter. You gotta have their offer letter. You gotta have their employment contract. You gotta offer them, like in Filipino laws, you actually have them get them to like a certificate of employment to certify that they're employed by you. And if you do even further, you could also do payroll with them, which you can sign out with like a company or do your own payroll in a spreadsheet. But make sure you're organized in every way possible. So when Amazon asks you stuff, you can provide them. The worst case is you provide less than what they ask for. But if you over provide what they ask for, it's actually help you in the case. The third one here for the Section 3 suspension, this is pretty strange, is that in any case, if you failed identity verification, the Inform Act on your account say if you moved, you have to re-verify your account again. If you accidentally submit a wrong document, say your old address document to your new address, you might get suspended for submitting a wrong document. This is pretty rare, but it does happen. I've seen a few cases. Let's move on here. Like I said before, the Section 3 suspension is not specifically just targeting your account. There could be many factors in each individual account. And in many cases, it could be you're selling a very high-risk product, such as the product in the beauty and personal care category currently are very high risk, because Amazon is suspending thousands of sellers by selling beauty products. Now Amazon is putting extra restrictions on top of beauty products, saying that every listing that you sell on, it has to have the drug and facts, the ingredient list, either in image or in a text format somewhere on the listing. Otherwise, you can't sell it. Otherwise, it's violation in the rules. Selling high-risk product is definitely one of them. High risk also includes counterfeits. The brands that are known for highly counterfeits, this one is pretty easy to identify. If you're selling products that looks very generic, it doesn't have much of the branding to it, it looks very simple, they could get you with that. And the second one here is, I don't think many people know this, but whenever you get a IP or inauthenticity complaint, you should never acknowledge it. Acknowledging the IP or inauthenticity complaint is the same to just admitting wrongdoing. You're selling fake products. You are violating Amazon's rules, which you agreed not to when you sign up to a seller account. And that could lead you to Section 3 account reviews. So if you want to know how to do appeal for any IP complaints and inauthenticity complaints, come to like CometLeads. We have some templates out there we can provide with you. And the third one here is if you have too much negative reviews, such as you're selling mismatched product to customers, and they give you legal reviews. They receive something not as described. It happens all the time. And the bad NCX unresolved. The NCX, if you don't know, is the negative customer experience. This doesn't really go towards your reviews. Only some of them do. if you get a lot of NCX bad ones on the same product during a short period of time, some of them will actually come through as bad reviews. I have to mute one of the person here, it's very loud. Moving on the bad NCX, if you check in your feedback manager, if you can see it, the NCX, bad customer experience, see what your customers is receiving when you ship your products to them. And this is pretty important to check often to see how your products are performing. If you are getting a lot of NCX bad ones for the same product, you should probably not sell them in the future. And Amazon will tell you how to resolve them if you click on their course or whatever. There's some information in there to help you. Don't just ignore them, but these things exist. The fourth one here is, have you logged into your seller account using a public Wi-Fi? And this is mostly related to the linked account issues, linked by IP address. It can be very hard to prove that because you might have just done it unintentionally, that you connected and you just be like, I do this all the time and never got any issues, but Amazon could get you with it. Like Nick said earlier, don't connect your account to public Wi-Fi. You don't know who or which seller had ever used that public Wi-Fi before. And even with public Wi-Fi, it would tell you it's insecure network.
Yeah, I would love also to add a little bit to the customer experience, voice of customer, right? NCX.
Yes.
The procedures that we are using for our account is we would check them on a regular basis, and we would really only focus on the very bad or bad, and then the red, super like very bad, bad, and then in the middle the yellow ones. And we would really just follow how many NCX reports we got for that specific agent. So let's say if we got 5 sales and 1 was reported, we still keep selling this item because it doesn't show the large velocity of the complaint. But if let's say we sold 20 units and then we got like 2-3 complaints, that it shows that something is wrong with the ASIN. We would close the listing and we would investigate and we would actually deep dive to see what can be fixed. On the other hand, if we, let's say, have like 1 complaint for, 600 sales, we don't really worry about it because it's going to be in green zone. But what we also do is if some items really get complaints at the NCX for whatever reason, and they're, let's say, like 4 for 60 sales, we consider that to be a very high metric, and we would just sell this item or actually remove it from Amazon and sell on other platforms, and we would actually not bring this item back, and we would delete it from our inventory. And when you guys delete from inventory, it actually eventually going to go off from the NCX report voice of customer, right? So that allows you to actually lower the amount. So if you guys open your voice of customer and you have, let's say, have 30 of them in the red zone, and then most likely 15 of those you guys are not carrying anymore, but because it sits in your inventory even at 0 for months or years, it's still going to be there. So what we do, we actually track those pretty closely and we remove them from our inventory, and as a result it goes off our voice of customers. So as of right now, we probably have like 3 or 4 sitting in red zone that we actively selling, but I would not underestimate that. A lot of even experienced sellers don't really look there, but that thing can actually trigger a section 3. So solely this thing can trigger section 3. So I would closely monitor that. It's very important because Amazon is all about customer obsession, and when customer is not happy, Amazon is not happy too.
Yeah, for sure. Other than that, the bad NCX, it could happen to even to the good products in the green zone, but Amazon compares that product to a similar product in the category to see if this product you're selling is having more percentage than another seller's, or on average, if you have more percentage, even if it's in the green zone, it might also lead to section 3. Another good point that Nick said is that, you said your inventory is sitting in your catalog, even though you're not selling it anymore. What we always to do is you delete and close after you sell out. In case you get hit with any kind of issues, even if you sell out with has inactive inventory out of stock, as long as it's listed in your catalog, you can still get hit with IP complaints, restricted inventory or policy complaint, and also bad NCX not dropping off. So always delete and close after you sell out. You can add it back in later, but I don't recommend you keeping it in there. It could lead to some issues. And then the fifth one here, it's a 3P issue. Using third-party services linked to another seller, whether you recognize them or not. But if you're linked to another seller, this is your issue. I suggest you check all the third-party services you ever used. Either it's the seller reimbursement services, or a prep center, or something else that you might have used, or definitely check those. And the last one here, if you had ever submitted wrong documents, I did hear about this for like very few people, but they did it. Not sure what's happening there, but submitting wrong documents is not acceptable. That's why I always say, before you submit anything, make sure you check everything's correct, matching exactly what Amazon's asking for. So you will not have a second appeal. And I will talk more about appeals in a bit. So let's say if you get a Section 3 account review and they ask you to do identity verification. And make sure you read everything on this page, understand what they're asking, get as much you can. Your ID, your driver's license, it can be a passport. Passport usually works better. A driver's license doesn't. You could have fake IDs as a driver's license, so passport usually better. And the bank credit card statements, this has to be in the last 180 days. And then your business registration, this is only applicable. I know most people selling on Amazon, they don't really have a business yet. They're selling as an individual. And the last one, supply chain documents. This one, even it says if applicable, is required. The supply chain documents including proof of deliveries, invoices, receipts. If you're importing stuff from outside the country, you're going to need a bill of lading. And then you're going to need some custom documents for import. Then the supply chain document also includes, if you're buying like brand direct or buying from a supplier, you're going to need that supplier's letter of authorization from the brand. If you're buying brand direct, you're going to need the brand issuing a letter of authorization directly to you to submit it along with this. There's some stuff I just talked about that like Amazon don't ask them on. They don't really clearly state that they want it, but they do want it, just so you know. So let's say after you submitted your stuff, you attended the identity verification. You were on a call with a interviewer, and you gave them all your information, such and such. Now, after it, they want you to submit this stuff again. This happens to a lot of people. This is just normal procedure. Even if you submit it beforehand, they also want to submit it again, because these are actually going to different teams. The first one that you submitted is going to the interviewer, and they're not associated with Amazon's review team. The second one here is going straight to a seller performance. On the base level, seller performance has many levels, teams, managers, executives, but we will get there in a bit. But submitting these documents, make sure you read them very carefully of what they're asking, and make sure you submit as many of these things as possible, and highlight quantities or bank statements, the purchase you made, how much is the dollar amount matching to how much your purchase on the invoice. Make sure you also name your files properly, that when the reviewer sees all your files, they'll know which is which. If you were just like storing in like bank statement August and bank statement July without saying anything, they're not even going to look at it. They're just going to reject it right away. There's a specific format you have to follow when you're submitting documents, and this information is not really public, only for people who have submitted it or like who had signed with a lawyer before. They would tell them you have to name it in a specific way. But like anything, like ungating, like submitting documents to Amazon, you have to name it in a specific way so they understand what they're looking at just by looking at it. And let's say after you submit your first appeal and Amazon reviews your document, and they say, we're going to deactivate your account because They say your account has been, say, identified being used in deceptive, fraudulent, and illegal activity. And this is literally what Section 3 is, that I mentioned earlier. And you can appeal to this. And this message here is what everybody gets. It's really nothing special about yours versus another person's. This is actually an automated message from Amazon. It's just a template. There's really not much information to go about this. What you can do is you can submit your stuff again, change the names a little bit, and submit more information if possible. Let's say first time you submit only the invoice, and the second time, what you could do is you submit a letter of authorization from the brand issuing to your supplier, adding to that layer, or adding more proof of deliveries, or do you have any product images, submit those as well. And so you can appeal to this, and they will always say we may not respond to further email about this issue, but they will always respond at some point. Let's move on here. So after the second appeal, you're coming to a third appeal. Amazon is still denying your documents that you submitted. So now what you do is you should draft up a personalized appeal. This is the part where if you sign up with an Amazon lawyer and they will do this for you, but I'm going to just give it to you the structure for free here. It basically in the appeal is you have to address your violation in the first paragraph, if any. If you have any ASINs in your notification saying you need to prove their authenticity, and you will address this. By the way, in the appeal, if you really think you will source from legitimate suppliers, then you can't admit to anything. What you do is you want to write, say, I want to prove the authenticity of the product I sourced from legitimate suppliers in the first paragraph. Then the second one is not needed in this case if you source from legitimate suppliers. But if you didn't source from legitimate suppliers, the second part will be identify the root cause of the issue. If you didn't source from a legitimate supplier, you have to find out what's wrong with that supplier. Why is illegitimate? Did you buy from like RA? Like you only have retail receipts, you don't have invoices. If you buy from a closeout company or liquidation, so that means you didn't really vet your supplier properly. In our Discord, we have insights on how to really vet a supplier properly, but for premium members only. Another thing is identify the root cause of the issue. Are you doing drop shipping? Are you doing like reviews manipulation, or are you actually selling counterfeit products to Amazon? Identify the root cause of the issue in your second paragraph. Make it short, concise, because the entire appeal should not be longer than 1 page. The reviewer, when they receive your appeal, they're only going to have like 2 to 5 minutes to read through it. If you write like 5 pages and you don't write in a specific format, they will not read past the first page and deny you right away. Maybe you will roll like useful information at the end of the paragraphs in the last page, but they're not going to get there at all. Then in the third paragraph, what you're going to do is you want to write down the actions you have taken to resolve this issue. If you have stores from like RA, like Marshalls, TJ Maxx before, you only have retail receipts. And the retail receipts are never accepted by Amazon in resolving this kind of issue in Section 3. What you can do is to tell them you're never going to source them from them again. Or you have sourced from liquidators or like closeouts. You tell them you're going to probably need to work out a agreement with the place you bought it from. That tell them you have terminated relationship going forward with them, and you actually need a termination letter from the liquidator, wherever you bought it from, saying that you will not buy from them again. That's the actions you take to resolve this issue. Then the next part is called a plan of action. Some players call it POA. You have heard that term before. Plan of action is pretty important too. It's basically describing what are you gonna do to avoid for the same issue from happening again. What kind of measures have you implemented in the future? Say if you source from the closeout supplier, which you can't do that. Closeout, never buy from them, no matter how good the deals are. They don't have invoices that works. So if you buy from them before, the plan of action should include that steps you take next time to vet a supplier. The actual way to get wholesale suppliers is by calling up the brand or manufacturer, asking for the list of authorized distributors. So you can put that in your plan of action, saying next time you buy from any supplier, you will contact the brand first and asking for their authorized distributor list, and you will only buy from those distributors. And that could be your plan of action. Avoid the same issue from happening again. And this appeal should be no more than one page, like I said, because the person who reads it, they get hundreds of these appeals a day. So they only have 2-3 minutes to read through it. And if they find a keyword they like, they might reinstate your account. If they don't, they might not. If you have actually wrote a long appeal, what I would do is you feed it to ChatGPT and make it summarize it for you and make it very simple. Make it no more than 4 or 5 paragraphs. That's it.
I said 5th grade reading level.
5th grade reading level. Yeah, make sure you type in a prompt or ChatGPT saying, make sure your appeal is readable by a 5th grader. And let's say in 3-4 appeal down the road and you're still getting denied, and this is where you should change up a little bit. And I really don't think you can get this information elsewhere because you have to pay for a lawyer to get it. So at this level, you already appeal 2-3 times. You will keep appealing to the same team, and they're getting tired of it. Basically, they're not going to reinstate your account if they keep receiving the same stuff over and over again. So now what you can do is you request a escalation to a higher level of teams. And what you can do is by emailing those teams. I'm pausing right here. I take a screenshot of this. I send it to your friend. If they are having the same issue, I said they already appealed more than 4 times and they are getting rejected, you can send their, they have to send their own documents to these emails one at a time. And Amazon Store Performance has different teams managing different cases. They have executive teams, they have mid-level teams, senior investigators. There are different levels to add the escalation. What you're going to do is send your appeal to these emails and asking for an escalation on your case. You might have to change some words in your appeal to write that you're actually requesting an escalation to your case. And you have to state it out that you will be submitting 3-4 times, no response. So you want to request an escalation. And initially, I had let me see here. So I think it's here. So yeah, so in this notification here, there's an email here called inbound-appeals@amazon.com. So if you can't submit all your documents, upload them all together into Seller Central because they have a maximum upload size. What you can do is, having this issue, the upload size is too much, then you can attach your documents by writing from your email, send directly to this email address. And this is the Executive Seller Performance and Relations team. So these emails, this is Jeff Bezos' email, but he retired. So ever since he retired, it's the executive seller performance, which is team monitoring the incoming inboxes of emails. This is the vice president of seller performance, AJC. I think he's the president of seller performance or even merchant relations team. And D. Herring, this is Douglas Herring. He's another executive member in the seller performance team. You can literally Google them online, but these emails are not really public unless you pay for a service. And there are a lot more other email addresses that you can appeal to in case you're having any kind of issues. I didn't include them here, but I have about 30 emails that you could send your appeals to. If you want them, you can join the CometLeads Discord and book a consultation with me, and I will send them to you. But the tip here is that you can't skip ahead. Say these emails are only allowed to be used if you have appealed multiple times. If you skip ahead, means you don't really respect Amazon's appealing process, which is a ladder process you have to climb from first appeal, second appeal, third appeal to fourth appeal until you get here to send to these people. Because for these people to look at your appeal, you have to have an appeal history of what has happened, so they have something to look at. So don't skip ahead. Don't just appeal directly to them. It won't work, and you might get on Amazon's bad side. Might hurt your case even. So what you should do with any kind of appeal is like, I see a lot of people just be like getting Section 3 absolutely shitting their pants, absolutely panicking. That's exactly what you shouldn't do. Even I've heard some people, they request a call from seller performance and start yelling at them, getting emotional, and that's exactly the opposite of what you should do. Never do that, because whenever you call them, they will actually leave notes on your account, on your case. And if you get emotional with them, they will write down bad reviews about you, and it will hurt your case. So don't do that. Like I said before, gather your documents, write an appeal, write a plan of action if necessary, and don't submit until you have everything ready. And Amazon really just expects you to have everything ready on the first try to speed up the appeal process. If you don't have everything ready, submit 4 or 5 times, it will slow your case down and also slim your chance of getting reinstated. Always make sure your documents are named, formatted pretty well like this, with ASIN underscore invoice or ASIN underscore statements. So yeah, and always request a call from the account house agent after each appeal submission, because if you actually sit with them and walk them through exactly what you're submitting, like if they understand, like it's sort of like a verification process. If they understand what you're submitting and they agree that your case is like easy, should be initiated, then they will leave good notes on your case for the investigator to look at, the internal teams to look at. If it's like verified by other people, they will sort of agree to it and reinstate your account that way. I've seen it worked before, but it's also like you have to constantly going back and forth, staying persistent, staying extremely persistent with them to get your account back. And if you are doing like a ASIN review, these are the cases that you might need these documents. If you have a Section 3 with inauthentic inventory, what we need is invoices and a lot of authorizations from the brand and from the distributors. But if you're buying from the brand directly, you only need the authorization. This one is pretty hard to get, I'm not gonna lie, but doesn't mean your account is cooked. It can still be get back, but there just have to be other ways proving that supply chain is legitimate. But the letter of authorization is definitely a strong suit. It will help your case. And the supplier, sometimes Amazon will say your supplier is not verifiable. That just means when they call up the supplier, they don't pick up. and they just assume they don't exist.
Another thing on that is they rank the suppliers internally as well. So no different than Amazon accounts are ranked internally on their risk score and stuff like that. These suppliers are being tracked of what level of sellers are submitting the documents from those suppliers. So if all the very good sellers on Amazon are submitting documentation from these distributors and you submit it from that distributor, it's more than likely going to be fast tracked when it comes to verification versus some distributor they've never seen before, doesn't pick up the phone, like you said.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. This is very interesting because if you're submitting the same invoice that same as the other big sellers account, what they submit, wherever they buy from, is likely because Amazon trusts those people more. They have been at Amazon for a long time, doing hundreds of $millions in revenue. They trust them more, have bigger accounts, have higher seller tier. This is another information internally that Amazon ranks each seller's account age and sales revenue by tiers. If you are submitting the same documentation as a higher tier seller, Amazon is likely accept your invoice faster than reinstate your account than if you're just submitting like a random invoice they don't even recognize. Yeah, so the second case here is, excuse me, linked by using a third-party service. This could be using a prep center. If you have signed with a prep center, and the first thing you could probably do is ask the prep center if they know the other seller by linking the account. If they know the other seller, it's great. You're in luck. You can basically submit these things. The service agreement with the third party, which is the agreement you sign the contract with the prep center, an invoice or bill of lading. The bill of lading is more so for like importing, but the invoice is for, say you have made a deposit to pay your prep fee to the prep center, then they send you an invoice, show that to the Amazon, and proof of payment. This is just to highlight how much of the deposit or payment you have made to pay that invoice on your bank statement. Highlight the amount and also transaction ID. The service termination agreement, which is you have to tell your prep center you are leaving them because your account is suspended due to their linkage, not your fault. So you have to separate that connection by having this termination agreement. Or submit all four things and your account will be reinstated. And this is the only thing I know of that works for a linked account that can be reinstated. It's through a third-party service. If you are a direct linkage, let's say you're a friend with another seller, it will be extremely hard to prove the unlink. I've not seen one successful case from that way. These are some interesting stuff too, and Amazon can show you that your account is linked by credit card. The U-bit, full-bit up here, I don't know if you guys can see, that's internet footprint, and or something right here with like a phone here, you can be linked by phone number. And like I said before, Amazon ranks the seller by their tier. The seller tier is based on your account age and your GMV, which is gross merchant value, how much sales you have made on Amazon. So this one is also interesting.
This is what it looks on the back end for people that are, seeing the documents that you're submitting. They're seeing the things, they're seeing this on the back end of your account when it comes to certain cards being linked, certain addresses. This is exactly what they're seeing when it comes to your seller tier and, all the information that they can see on the back end of your account. It's not like every submission is, brand new account, or do we think this is good to go? As you keep resubmitting, if you submitted 20 times or something like that, the exact same thing, I mean, that thing is not getting looked at one time. But specifically with these screenshots here, is showing exactly what they're seeing on the back end when they look at your account.
Yeah, so so they know if they identify you that you're linked by some point, it's better for you to just admit it, because if they know, then it's probably true. If you try to say I don't know, or like if you try to say I'm not linked, that's not gonna work for Amazon. You have to find the linkage and solve it. All right, so I've invited some of my really good friends to talk to you guys about their experience with their suspended account before and how they get reinstated. So Daniel, take away. Could you please talk about your situation with Amazon? Like what has happened and what's being submitted and what's the progress so far?
Yeah, so my account's been deactivated for about 2.5 months. I was working with people I shouldn't have been working with. I was working with WhatsApp suppliers, and at the time, I heard that you shouldn't have worked with them. Yeah, so I was working with a supplier that I had been working with for a couple months already. So I was starting to kind of trust them. Stuff was going good, and then I got hit with an inauthentic complaint, and then I was filing submissions for that about 2 or 3 times, and then I got a Section 3 for a completely different ASIN under the same brand, and that shut my account down. And ever since, I've submitted a lot of documents. I've probably submitted 8 times, I'd say, and I keep getting denied. And at this point, I've stopped submitting, and now I'm working on getting my funds back as well as my inventory. Those are my main goals right now.
Do you have auto removal set up?
I do have auto removal set up, yes, but it's suspected inauthentic inventory, so they're not letting me pull anything out.
That's really interesting. I've seen people who are able to get it back. Did you set it up like afterwards or before?
No, I've always had auto on, like after 30 days.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm in a bad position, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, my main goal right now, like I said, is to get my money back and then my inventory. I'm not even really worried about my account anymore.
So your invoice just don't work, right?
Yeah, my invoices are not working at all.
Yeah, do you mind sharing the supplier's name or no?
Yeah, it's Hack Distribution. They're based out of Florida, but their invoices will say Wyoming. I met him at ASD, actually.
Yeah, that's another big thing. Carl, you can talk about this one. Like, the ASD suppliers are fake.
Yeah, they're
obviously not all, right? But obviously not all, but definitely, obviously, if that happened to you, Cayman, I know this definitely happens to some other people that I know of, and there's a lot of people that I don't know. So it's likely an issue and something you need to watch out for. I mean, you need to vet suppliers just as much from any show that you go to as you do when you find them online. Just because they're at a show doesn't mean they're any more legit.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of ASD suppliers are WhatsApp suppliers. If you like working with somebody like WhatsApp or Telegram, don't trust them. They're most likely to be fake. They either take your money and run or send you fake stuff. No invoice works. Doesn't matter how good the inventory looks like, how good the margins are. Nothing is really worse for losing your account for. As soon as you lose one account, you want to set up a new one, Amazon's not going to let you do that unless you reinstate the first account. Romer, what's going on, buddy? What's good?
Sorry for being late. So I can just tell you what not to do. I'll be the best recovery account recovery specialist. I've got a lot of people with accounts back, but as long as you guys saw last summer, I got one of you guys that got back to selling counterfeit books. So I know you guys have more wholesale-based and online arbitrage, but I'm willing to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. What's good?
You can just go into kind of maybe what your, I guess, more about getting back, honestly, because obviously, you got closely linked account issues on counterfeit, right?
Yeah. So what I've seen work is making fault to counterfeit. Like how I got back in 2019 was a counterfeit claim for a textbook, and I did appeal, and then finally I was like, okay. Like, I admit that I sold a counterfeit textbook, even though, like, I thought maybe it wasn't counterfeit, and then they finally gave me my account back. And then recently I'm doing a lot of wholesale right now, and we're purchasing a lot of our inventory from like LLCs down the chain just because like the pricing's so good. And everyone I know who's been purchasing from the supplier, like from time to time we get, maybe IP complaints or a counterfeit claim. And it's so strange, man. Like these invoices from a smaller LLC, if you submit them enough times, end up working. So, of course, like you want like a nice website that Amazon knows about, on the invoice. That's like, if we're going to play it safe and if people want to play Amazon the safest way, like only buy from big websites or authorized distributors. But if you're like a lot of Amazon sellers and you find a supplier who maybe Amazon doesn't know about, it does kind of seem to be more of like a word game of like, okay, I admit that maybe this item was counterfeit, if you're getting like an IP complaint or something like that. And this is just what I'm noticing. Like, I'm not saying this is like what you 100% you should do, but I've noticed basically when you admit whatever problem they're saying with your invoice or whatever problem with your account, that's usually what gets you back. Because I also like the main people I teach are booksellers, and like, how the fuck are you supposed to provide an invoice for a book? Like, you can't. They're all from Goodwill, Salvation Army, or some other source. And the people I notice that get their accounts back are the ones that just are like, oh shit, like I got it from Goodwill, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Like a very authentic response, not like a super dolled up plan of action or anything crazy. But I mean, they're really just looking for congruency, and a good alibi. So, I mean, a good alibi is like the truth, but you do want to frame it in a way that some robot or a VA can understand,
That was for used books for the most part, correct?
Used books is what a lot of my students sell, but I've seen a lot of wholesale people too with the LLC stuff I was talking about.
Yeah. I feel like the LLC stuff is common by like people submitting invoices, like other people that are also buying from them, like either group buys and stuff that you see. If a seller with a high say a back end rank of like the Amazon account being trusted submits an invoice from a distributor, it's much more likely they'll start a distributor.
100%, yeah. And to that point, just like the older your account is, the better chance you have of getting it reinstated, in my opinion. Like if you have sales history of selling thousands of items and the customers never complain, there's a high chance you're not a bad seller, but if you're brand new and you scale up to like 100 or 200K really fast, which a lot of people do, and then Amazon's like, wait a second, like let's just verify that you're legit. Like let's just do a Section 3 video call and all this. If during that time you freak the fuck out and like edit an invoice or you try to like do something, to make yourself look more legit and they catch it, then you actually like are screwed, And so I think newer sellers need to be really careful.
Yeah, for sure.
So when admitting fault, do you suggest accepting the appeal or like accepting the appeal on or submitting a admitting fault in that claim?
Can you repeat the options you said again?
So like when you either have the option to make appeal,
Yep,
or to upload evidence.
Yep.
You accept the appeal and then explain that you did indeed do
So I can't really hear you that good. Can you guys hear him? Or is that me? I was referring to admitting fault in the plan of action. There's two instances where I know it worked. It worked for me a few years ago. And then for my friend, he got a counterfeit claim on a wholesale item. And the counterfeit claim had like evidence from the law firm of all the reasons why it was counterfeit. Like the color was different for the item, blah, blah, blah. So who knows, maybe it wasn't, I don't think it was counterfeit, but it could have been. And they actually gave him, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but his account was deactivated, but it was for a counterfeit claim. And so when he logged in, he saw the option to admit that he sold a counterfeit item. Like, I admit that I sold a counterfeit. And as a last-ditch effort, he did that, and it worked. So I just know generally they just want you to address the root cause and show understanding. And by admitting faults, you're doing both of those things, So I'm still trying to get over the multiple account policy violation, though. if anyone has tips on that, yeah, it would be a good discussion to have.
I definitely would not admit off rip, unless you for sure know you're cooked. Definitely give it some submissions and stuff like that. More of a last ditch effort type of thing. But
yeah, and especially if it's not something you did.
Yeah. Well, but, like book stuff it seems pretty easy to beat up, like on the explanation side.
The what stuff?
The one-off book from Goodwill type. Like it's not like you have.
Yeah, it can be, but it can also just be like a nightmare. Like they're like, we want invoices from authorized distributors, and then at that point, what are you gonna do? Make one up?
Yeah, that's like pretty over reinforcing for the Amazon side. But I was just talking about earlier about the linked account suspensions. The only way I know it works that you can reinstate it is by using a prep sender before when you are suspended. You're linked by prep sender to another seller, that's fine. You can get reinstated by that way. But if you're linked to some other way, like IP addresses or just shipping addresses or phone numbers, credit cards, on Amazon's backend log, I can go back if you can see it. If you can see it right here, this is Amazon's backend log, where it can shows you on the left side here, you're linked either by credit card, internet footprint, or email addresses, or phone numbers. This can all be the issue for the linkage. There's no way to unlink them because they know they exist, and if the more you try to explain why this is linked, whatnot, the more closer the other account you're linked to.
Yeah. They're like, tell me more reasons why.
Bank statements? Like, do you have like REO bank statements, like sending money to each other and stuff like that? Like,
for some, yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you have send money to another seller and the other seller's account got suspended, it can link back to you for receiving or money or sending money.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They'll look at the bank statement and they'll link.
So they will look at the bank statement and try to link you guys. And what they do is they think you are putting money to invest in your inventory, your suspended account inventory, and give it to another seller and sell it on another account. And let's say transfer inventory, you sold your goods to another seller and another seller starts selling them on their account, and you'll be making money off of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it works, but it just like they think it's like that. So Amazon wants you to prove that you don't have an active investment in that seller's account, but that's very hard to prove.
Amazon's crazy, bro. That's like invasion of privacy.
Yes. Well, bro, like they track so many things. Like even so, with people who are doing like A2A, like Amazon to Amazon flips, now they always suggest you don't use the same buying account as your Seller Central account. So like they can't be the same email, because if you ever say you bought products on your buying account to another seller and you ship to that seller's address, which matches their seller account address, then you guys are linked.
Yeah, I can kind of like actually harp on that because I've bought so many Amazon sellers gifts, and dude, my account that was shut down in last year was 2023, literally, I think 15 people got their account shut down for being linked to me at one point. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. And none of the people were linked to me from like purchasing. Thank God. Because I had that same thought when you said that. I'm sure it's true in some scenarios. But dude, I literally have like purchased so many different Amazon sellers stuff because I've traveled all over the country, stayed at their houses, probably like 20, 30. And like, I'm just so grateful that their accounts didn't get shut down from mine. I feel so bad. I think that's like one of the last things they would link. I think the first things they would link are like probably like IP address. I don't think Wi-Fi is a big one personally, because me and Taylor Jones have traveled all over the world together, and when my account got shut down, nothing on his account, and we've literally logged in like the same Wi-Fi in like Costa Rica, Japan, Philippines. Like, you'd think they would link those two accounts, but they didn't. I think the big ones are like IP addresses and maybe ship from addresses, stuff like that.
Yeah, and nowadays even sharing the same inventory. Like what we know is that from the insider information that we got, nobody has this, to be honest, but we know If you're linked by credit card in 2 accounts, more than 2, you're linked. They were gonna flag you. If you're linked only by 1 account, it's fine. If you're linked by ASINs, if you are sharing the ASINs more than 5 ASINs, you're linked. Then if it's less than 5 ASINs, you are sort of fine, like medium risk. But if you're higher than 5, it's high risk.
Where are you getting all this information?
We got resources, bro.
You want to go to the Philippines and meet some Amazon call center reps and bribe them?
No, I don't think we can do that, bro. But I've heard from an Amazon lawyer, this service does exist. You're allowed to, not allowed, I would say, but you can definitely pull Amazon's backend notes for a price.
I've seen their backend notes on some things, dude. I would pay anything to have that connect.
Yeah, nobody that I know of like had this, but it's cool. Just showing you what's going on in the backend. If you ever linked by any of these things, high counts of phone numbers and credit cards are definitely a big red flag.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, like they tend to trust bigger sellers more. They give them like benefit of doubt. For sellers who are like just starting out, like less than 3 years old account, they're probably just not gonna give you any mercy.
What are you guys noticing with like Section 3 ASINs in question, and they're not accepting the invoice? What is like the best path to appeal on that?
Letter of authorization. So if you have the letter of authorization from the brand to the distributor, either in the US, great. But Amazon could also be like, if they don't pick up the phone and they don't exist, you know.
What if it's a brand that doesn't want you to sell on Amazon?
I don't think that matters as long as you have like valid invoice from the supplier. The supplier has to be authorized to sell that brand.
Okay, yeah, so you're saying.
Yeah. So that really doesn't really matter. Most cases, it's just an IP complaint to tell you to stop selling, or like a worry, or some kind of cease and desist.
For your accounts, I know most of other than the invoice part for your accounts, since you're just selling through, if you bounce the payments, so you're not sending it directly from their bank account to your businesses, if you just bounce it through another LLC, especially if it's someone else's, so it's not on anyone's statements, that's one of the safest.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, I guess you're just avoiding like blurring out bank statements because that looks sketch.
Yeah, you can really only do that on like pricing. They tell you what you can blur out. With Walmart,
Gotcha.
I tried to blur out something and they were like saying, "Oh, this is fraudulent or something." So Walmart doesn't like that.
Yeah, you can't alter invoice like that. You can only highlight, if you're actually trying to block out a part of invoice when submitting for like Section 3 reviews, that's invoice altering, and you will get on Amazon's bad side. They would never trust you again.
Yeah, damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's rough. Like, I really understand a lot of people going through this. It's extremely rough on their account, and they just don't have the guidance that they need to get through this. If they submitted something and the first time just completely wrong, in the wrong format, don't know how to submit, don't know Amazon rules, and they're pretty much cooked down the way.
The main thing I think is, especially for people just getting on Amazon, is just setting yourself up for success from the beginning. So not like, we've all been through different things and learned from the experiences we've had. So learning from those mistakes of others and just making sure that you're clean as a whistle moving forward, especially at this time. I'm not playing around.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danny. Good to see everybody. But yeah, so I got a Section 3 back in August, and it had something to do with the voice of the customer. It was for 3 items that were pretty much flagged for bad reviews. And it was so simple, this one item, I just didn't want to let go of it. It cost me like $1. I was selling it for like $9.99. It was paying for all my subscriptions and like my Keepa and my SaaS and everything. But I would get like so many returns on this item, and I believe that's what triggered my Section 3. And I was fighting it for a while. I had to get letter of authorization. The other item that was flagged was, a smoke shop item. I have a smoke shop in South Jersey, So I thought that, maybe I could leverage Amazon and sell some of those items on Amazon. That was definitely not something that I'm going to do again, but it was early on. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to make some sales. But yeah, the process was crazy, but we were able to submit all of the documents needed. They reinstated our account, and we're off to the races now. And I don't know, some stuff that they asked us to provide were copies of our bank statements, invoices, order confirmations, proof of delivery. I had to go back to UPS and get on the phone with them and pretty much say, I need proof that this was delivered to my house or to my warehouse, whatever. That was pretty hard. But pretty much once I got that letter of authorization, it was like the one piece of information that just, oh, okay, you have that, you're good to go. And they pretty much unlocked all my stuff. But we were going back and forth for about 3 weeks. And it was quite a ride. It definitely changed the way that we process stuff in our business now and our, the way our flows work. But it's all growing pains. I'm glad it happened in the beginning because it really taught me a lot on how to shape the business moving forward.
Gotcha, bro. Thank you for sharing. Getting your account back was really, really lucky, I would say. Really, really lucky that you worked with authorized suppliers who are just cool with sharing you their authorization. In most cases, that's not going to happen for a lot of people. You can probably get a lot of authorization from the brand to the manufacturer to the supplier you're buying from. That's about it. And you probably won't be able to get the supplier to sign you the authorization to resell. Usually, no supplier can do that, and a lot of suppliers has NDAs or a contract with the brand saying they can only sell direct to customer. They're not allowed to sell like resellers or resell on Amazon. Not gonna happen. So he got really, really lucky with it, and so he was able to get his account back.
Yeah, thank God.
Does anybody have any questions? I actually have one more slide in here for you. I can just do this. So if you can't afford a lawyer, these are the free resources you could use right away. Google them. I will make this PDF downloadable in my link bio after this as well. If you want to download it, or if you're already in this Discord, I will put it in the Discord as well for you to download. So basically, everybody skips this. The seller university is pretty important. Basically is the part where Amazon shows you the basic stuff, how to navigate Seller Central, and included in the Seller University, they actually have a course on how to draft an appeal and plan of action to address your violations, and pretty helpful. It's pretty basic. I really don't think you should pay thousands of dollars to read information that's pretty much widely available. You just need to look for it. The second one here, ASGTG Facebook group and X account, they're the biggest Amazon seller community on the planet. They have a lot of sellers going through the same issues as you. And you can always find some issues other people are going through in there. It will help you a lot, and they have like networks and connections of lawyers or services, might be able to help you in any issue that you want to have. They also lobby with Amazon, try to get their employees or anybody in charge on a call and request information or such, interview them, get information to help sellers. They're just awesome. And the third one here, which is I referenced this before, this is the Amazon Business Solution Agreement, the whole agreement. Especially check the SP-1 section if you can, because it tells you how you should sell products on Amazon, which is you can't sell any mismatches. You're not allowed to sell any thing that doesn't accurately match the product listing, and you also have to keep the product listing information updated. Even though you're not a person creating the listing, but if you're selling on it, means you're offering the products for Amazon in the listing, then you have to keep it in check. This actually mostly comes with like experience, but the product mismatch part, you can pretty much catch it when you're sourcing. Make sure it's exact match the product, otherwise Amazon could get you through bad customer reviews or negative reviews or with the customer, like we said before. Keep those in check. And the last one here, this is the best blog I've ever read on Amazon seller account health issues, policies, updates. They update new policies on Amazon pretty much like whenever they put out a new policy. This is a blog. You can basically search for anything that you want. Linked accounts, suspensions, IP complaints, async reinstatements, or retreat product policy, inauthenticity complaint. There's a lot of stuff. They also have like guides and instructions on tell you what's the best practices for you moving forward. So yeah, this is really, really helpful. If you don't have a lot of money to afford a lawyer, this is where you should go to look up information. I think in 2024, 2025, for Amazon seller to stay alive and successful, you have to be extremely well informed. Make sure you're getting information from the right places. Like us, we get a lot of like information from our network, and then we also have a lot of friends who are bigger sellers who are connected in the space that we can get information from. May not work for most people, but start networking. That's my advice. So does somebody have any questions? And I can address them.
Yeah, Lawrence, I have a few questions for you if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so the first one is, what do you think about services? Like, have you heard of Seller Safe Appeals? They're on Instagram. They claim that they can be counterfeits and stuff. Do you think they're just blatantly like doing fraud and making big invoices and stuff, or do you think that they're actually useful?
Can you send me their link so I can check it out? I've never heard of them.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to that. And the next question is, I know you recently posted a tweet about like kind of going against Amazon lawyers, but I know you just were talking about like recommending them. So what's your opinion on those? Like, do you think it's worth it? Do you think you should just put the claims together yourself? Because I know you said they twist them
I think
out.
we're gonna basically, when we do a CometLeads here, we're gonna continue to provide the best information for Amazon seller to succeed in the future. And if you can tune in here, and we can definitely help you out to get you at least a consultation. Is all you need. You only need the expensive lawyer fees until you're like down 4 or 5 times the appeal, like no results. Then you probably need a little bit help there. But before that, a lot of accounts, you don't need to get a lawyer from the get-go. And that tweet I was talking about basically is all of these ex-Amazonians who left seller support after working like 2-3 years, and they claim they know Amazon terminology, can draft appeals, and they just call themselves legal experts, but they're pretty much just based in like outside of the U.S. and charge you the same price as U.S. lawyers. I mean, higher. They're making bank here, but you don't really need that. They just see an opportunity that sellers need help, but if you could refer like more people to join us, like we pretty much have the same information you will pay $3,000 to $4,000 for.
That makes sense. I had one more important question, but it just slipped my mind when I asked you this. So
yeah, go ahead.
I'll send that in chat once I remember it. But I sent the link over of Seller Safe Appeals.
What do you say?
I don't know. I've heard iffy things about the services. Like some are like actual law firms and stuff, but others I feel like just straight up just do like fake stuff. I know Amazon comes after these types of services though, because I remember reading up on a lawsuit a few months ago where Amazon actually sued some of them, and they contacted them like as like undercover customers, and they see if like the services make fake documents or whatever. But I know Carter did mention earlier that in this situation, it's best just to probably accept, like if you were in the wrong, which makes a lot of sense.
No, definitely not off rip. You don't want to accept it. I mean, if you for sure did something wrong, I guess you already made that decision like beforehand, type of thing. But I would try to beat it if you can, without doing any shady things. Sometimes even just a few submissions, it'll just go through.
Yeah, I guess the only reason you can find out if a service is legit or not is by going through them and seeing what they do. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably not much
and
else.
using your brain.
Yeah.
These websites like are not like anyone that's an Amazon lawyer. There's no such thing. You can't get licensed in Amazon law. You're just simply a lawyer in a state, and then you go read the terms of services maybe of Amazon, or you're simply hired by a company that's doing this service and is kind of just selling basic information, and then you kind of just draw it up like a lawyer. You get a DUI or something, you go get a lawyer, you pay a few grand. It's like, okay, it's like normal. Like the cost is normal, $250 an hour, $500 an hour. It's like normalized mentality versus all of this. All it really is consulting. That's really all it is. It's they just try to like almost price anchor it with the lawyer's terminology, in my opinion.
I see. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I checked their Instagram profile. I would say they are pretty half-assed, I would say. I wouldn't say they don't have something. I would say they're pretty they're selling service that potentially could get get sellers' accounts suspended. Especially this Amazon ungating stuff.
Yeah, ungating, like, come on, bro.
That's not necessarily like how it works. Like, you can't just get a new seller account and start like getting this service and start ungating everything that you want. But because most categories you're already restricted, because ungating is about your account health and your account age and your gross revenue on Amazon. They're selling you pay $600 to get ungated, and then you pretty much can't even get anything because you're a new seller. So you just waste your money on this. So what they're saying, our team can help you gain access to restricted categories on Amazon, get you through the ungating process, and ensure all requirements are met for smooth approval. I would say this is a waste of money for the first one here. The Epic complaints, super easy. You don't need to get anything. It's just like invoice templates, and that's it. And never admit to anything.
Yeah.
Account deactivation may be a little bit more interesting. You might need a little help here, but when I click on their links on the website, pretty much I can't even click anything down here. Nothing here works. So it's
yeah. Listen, another question for you.
$600 for an ungate, by the way. Sorry, $600 for an ungate. That's how you use your brain. You think, you're like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah. Listen, do you guys have any opinion on the state of all the restricted brands? Do you think they'll come back soon? Or do you think it's a good
they do this every year. They do this every year.
Every year. Because it's been a minute, like Nike, Adidas.
They probably Nike, Adidas are like newer. They don't do that every year, but the regular regates, other brands, are doing more. And like my guess is just like too many sellers are flooding into the space, and they're tanking all the prices and making the brand mad because everybody just go to Amazon to buy it, doesn't buy from the brand. Brand are losing money, and
that's a good approach. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, so that's what I heard in the words on the street. It's just like, for example, Lego. Lego is like they don't really have any authorized distributors. They only sell from their own retail stores, either online or in store. And everybody knows Lego was a big brand on Amazon. Everybody sells them. Last Q4, people made a shit ton of money for like holding and selling Legos for the retired items. Sometimes they can sell for very high prices, and sometimes if it is not retired items, they can sell for lower prices. And for these toys, it comes with two things: price tanking and fake items. And so Lego can't control the inventory that's being distributed on Amazon, and Amazon is taking all their customers, and while sellers are making money, and Lego is not making any money. so they don't like it. Now they gated it, so people can only go to Lego to sell it unless you're a extremely big seller and you're probably safe.
I'd say it's much less about like the brands, because honestly, I'd say Amazon will throw a middle finger to brands because Nike pulls out a few months ago. Nike pulls out a few months ago, or a few years ago. Sorry, actually quite a long time ago now, because they're trying to focus more on D2C, like direct to consumer, and they're still doing 60 million a month, a million units a month. Nike on Amazon. So I'd say it's more honestly about the customer experience. Amazon really only cares about customer experience. They don't care about their sellers very much. They really don't care about anything else other than the customer experience. So like if you break it down just from there on an account health perspective, they're really just thinking about how it's affecting the customer, bad customer reviews. Newer sellers tend to have worse reviews than bigger sellers because they have the system set up, they have a bunch of employees, they have like actual businesses. So the more you can operate like an actual business and make sure you're following all the rules will lead to success, I think.
Yeah, for sure. The Amazon, all they really care, they're like customer eccentric kind of service. Anybody can return anything within 30 days or 60 days or even 90 days. For some items, get a full refund. And the sellers are at a loss. You gotta pay out of pocket for like return fees, prepaid labels, all that stuff. Though you can get the labels exempted through some kind of way, but you could still lose money on the return. Say the customer returned the product is like damaged. If Amazon says if the product is customer damage, you're not gonna get reimbursement. You're gonna just take that loss. So this happened to a lot of shoes and apparel, high return rates. They can have high profit, but the high return rates pretty much will like make other people shy away.
Can you do restocking fees and safety claims still on this stuff for FBM? Sorry, not FBM.
That has a specific criteria. That has a very specific criteria. For the FBM restocking fees, here's the thing. If you can go ahead and go to our Seller Central and type in prepaid label exemption, and you will download all the ASINs that are eligible for prepaid label exemption and submit that to Amazon and to exempt them from being charged on return labels for FBM. So in that case, you can potentially get the prepaid label shipping fee reimbursed to you. Another way to do is you set up, you charge shipping for FBM, and you lower your base price. So say something is sold for $9, and you lower your base price to $75, and you charge $15 for shipping. So when the customer return it, you can get that $15 reimbursed to you. That's the only way to get more than the 10% restocking fee. Otherwise, if you don't charge shipping, you're only going to get 10% restocking fee. And the 10% restocking fee is only given to you if you file a safety claim after its return.
Did they change that since last Q4? I was doing a lot of like restocking fees for like 20% for like, I was doing like late restocking fees for some stuff, and then doing like even 100% restocking fees when something came back completely destroyed in like Q1 basically from returns to Q4. Do you know if that was that a recent policy change?
Actually, for that one, I think you need to check your returns, because if the return says the refund is auto applied, then you cannot get more than 10% restocking fee reimbursed to you.
Yeah, you have to do it right when it gets delivered back within like 48 hours.
Yeah, if it's not auto replied, you get an order back, you can potentially charge 50% stocking fees.
It's great. I loved it. A few times getting just completely destroyed shoes back, 100%. Felt great.
Yeah, you also got to provide like valid images too. You can't just say. Yeah, I've seen other cases, which is you shouldn't do this either, is that if customer returned it and it's in good condition and you say it's lost or but they're just missing, and you're trying to get reimbursement out of it anyways, and you continue to sell that item. It's not okay. Don't ever do that. I heard some sellers are doing like $2 million a year, still doing that, and they could get their account suspended by doing that. Don't ever try to abuse the safety claim policies and try to fraud money, take money from Amazon. They will catch you. I heard like some time ago, you are not even allowed to use the same order ID for the same reimbursement, for multiple reimbursements. Because when you like get an item returned to you, there is no order ID attached to it. You don't even know which is your return.
I tend to take a picture of the outside of the box, so it's you can see the shipping label.
Yeah, but it doesn't really attach to the order ID of the customer. You don't know which.
If you search the shipping label in your orders, you can find it. That's how I used to look up my returns in the garage. I would scan it.
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of stuff is in Amazon. You need to keep it very organized. We have a inventory buy sheet, the kind of system we build up to keep track of documents. It's really necessary from now on, because Amazon is really coming after you for all documents you have. If you don't have them, you're pretty much cooked. All right, anybody have any other questions? We're about to hop off on this one.
Thank you for joining, y'all.
Thank you for joining. Appreciate everybody.
Is this call going to be posted into one of the call things, right?
Hey, Lawrence. I remember my other question. If you have a minute still.
Last second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see the recent news with Ecom Authority with the huge loss? What's your thought about services like that? And we'll see.
But so like basically what they said is, I gotta mute someone here. It's like echoing. All right, so basically what they did is they already in the wrong. Basically what they have is they violate Amazon's rules in the first place. You are not allowed to have linked accounts, multiple seller accounts. Whatever reason they identify you have linked accounts, I'm pretty sure that's how they got their 595 accounts suspended. It's because they're violating the rules in the first place. Even though they file a lawsuit, I don't think they're going to get anywhere because they are in the wrong in the first place. That's what I think. And for automation services like these, it's extremely risky. They can promise you whatever investment you put in and return whatever, because they have, say, wholesale network connections, they have stable products, but as long as they have the same address for warehouses or like same IP addresses for logging in accounts, managing clients' accounts in the same place, or even for that many accounts, I would say I wouldn't go with it, because you're not going to lose money, and the linked account is extremely hard to appeal. And this is not like a third-party scenario using a prep center for someone linked to you that you don't know. This is actually that you willingly to walk into this trap, get into that kind of service, thinking it's good money, but you're going to lose your account either way.
For sure, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, thanks for that explanation. I never considered using someone like them, but I know I see they have a really big operation, so I was surprised once.
They were like pretty big before that. When Amazon was not that strict about linked accounts, now there are. So like literally Amazon putting in one rule, they're gonna lose their entire business.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I know I think you run a prep center.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I would say if you sign any clients, make sure they have agreements, like make sure protect their account.
Yeah, for sure. We have an agreement that we send over. Is there any, it's just kind of a general agreement though. Is there any specifics that you would recommend?
Like I shared earlier about that PowerPoint where it's talk about the linked accounts, what you need. let me go back here real quick so I can show you.
Yeah, that's why we've never accessed any client seller centrals. It's always we require them to have like Boxum or inventory labs. So that way there's
that could even link too because you're using Amazon API.
Yeah, that's true. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, so Amazon API shares data, client information, and addresses, all that stuff. It could be linked. So you need a service agreement. Yeah, so with the whatever client sign on, and every bill they pay, you have to invoice them, a legitimate invoice with your company name on it. And
For sure, yeah.
And you have, if anything happens to them, you're able to draft up a service termination agreement with your name on it. That's it.
Yeah. We've never done the service termination agreement before, but that's definitely a great idea. I'm definitely gonna look into that.
You should. Yeah, so we're about to end this. Anybody have last minute questions?
Sorry, Carter, what were you saying?
I was just saying you can even if they're just like say or whatever it is, as long as you have the records of that. I mean, the main thing is it would be really good to separate like the LLC. Say you have an LLC for the Prep Center, LLC for the Amazon account. It would be pretty smart and just good for your customers if you do separate that. If you haven't already, just kind of, I mean, the QuickBooks invoices are easy to backdate and stuff like that. But maybe separating that is something you can. I would really think about it as you maybe try to grow that venture.
Sure. It's already separated. I'm doing everything through Stripe. I'm gonna look into that service termination agreement. Actually, we've had 2 clients that have gotten Section 3 for like random products. Everyone does like OA, so it's just like random things. But both of them got it back really fast, which is it's a warehouse. I have 2. One's 2,000 square feet, and the one I'm in right now is 4,000 square feet. They're both in Delaware.
Good job.
I'm actually right next to Rich. This new building that I moved into, Rich was supposed to take, but he ended up taking a different unit instead, and I took this one.
Yeah, he's great.
But thanks for all the advice today, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hope the best for you. Prep Center is definitely it's a nice little service business, man. Hope you're doing well.
For sure. All right, guys. Have a great night. Okay.
You as well.